Right, we're off. No, it's alright, we're off now.
Oh, we're off and running over?
And they're off.
Put it back on. Take one. Let's just start videoing.
It's gone. It's
Oh,
gone.
I was going to, before we start, I was going to say if I haven't got any mobile phones, everyone turn them off.
Oh, I have.
And things like that. Oh, there's always one.
Oh no, actually Vince has got it, that's alright.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to Leicester, the one and only, the ace companion, Sophie Aldred.
Hello! Thank
I'd like to say you brought the weather with you, Sophie, but I don't think
you. No, it's not. It's not fair. It was really sunny this morning when I left. And hence the, you know, the...
Yeah, you know,
thought we were going to be out in the garden and everything.
Yeah, it would be lovely, wouldn't it?
Yeah, never mind. Nice and cosy inside.
The last time you visited us was Crawley, and it was on Valentine's Day, if you remember, 1999. Which was a lovely event.
Seems like a long time
18 months ago.
Yeah.
There's a lot of water gone under the bridge.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to ask you really for a bit of an update, what you've done, because obviously those people that wasn't at that event, the video is still available to buy from the CEG. Little plug for
I haven't got many at all, actually.
But I'd like to just discuss with you really and talk about what you've done since then, because obviously that was about your career and what you've done up to that date. So the idea of this interview would be to bring up to date. So what have you basically done with us since Valentine's Day?
Well, sort of Doctor Who wise, I've been doing a couple of the audio CDs, which is very exciting, the Big Finish stuff, and that's been incredibly enjoyable. Although I have to say I did one when I was pretty heavily pregnant, and that wasn't so enjoyable because I was having to sort of sit there and I had a very sort of sicky pregnancy, so I was feeling really ill most of the time, which was a real shame. But and it was quite funny to be playing Ace but actually being heavily pregnant. It was really strange. So to be, you know, sort of doing all those usual Ace type things, but with a baby. Yes, that was very strange. And then the other thing was Mind Game, the second Mind Game, and Keith Barnfather, he did the first Mind Game, and that was a bit of a nightmare. If you've seen the making of, which I think is possibly actually better than the Mind Game.
Not the first
thing
one that
itself.
said
Yeah, because it just perfectly shows the making of a low budget film, and all the hassles that it involves and what you go through. And in fact, I mean, it's quite indicative of how we used to make Doctor Who, funnily enough. You know, it was often like that. The lack of time and, you know, the lack of things that go wrong that you have no control over and you have to sit around for ages. Anyway, so Keith decided to do the second one in as controlled an environment as possible, and he asked me if I'd be willing to do a monologue. And I really found it very challenging. I mean, I think the biggest challenge for me was learning the lines, because it had been such a long time since I'd had to learn a lot of lines that I found it really, really hard.
You mean they don't ad-lib on Doctor Who?
Oh, never. No. So, and to do a monologue as well, to actually learn a whole monologue is quite hard work. But having said that, I also found it really rewarding and challenging, especially because it was so sort of emotional, so sort of on the edge. So yeah, I think it was very good for me to do a project like that. And it was nice, actually, after all the presenting I've been doing, really in the last few years, to actually do a bit of acting, you know, to go back and do some acting.
I must say, I did enjoy the second one more than the first one.
Mm.
You really put a deep, you know, the trilogy. I really thought you put a deep sort of. It was almost like, I know actors obviously try and portray the fact that they're actually acting the part, but he was actually there.
Mm.
You know, all the emotions, you know, of the upset, the reasoning, you know, trying to fathom out where you're at. You know, I thought it was a wonderful performance, I must say.
Oh, that's good, thank you. Well, and I thought the others were great as well. I mean, Miles in particular, who got so into the idea of it all that he wrote his one, which I think is great. You know, it's really nice to have somebody who's not a fan at all, you know, not involved at all in Doctor Who, but who comes into something and then goes, ooh, I'm really into this. I'd like to write something for us on you know.
And he's a perfect
For
draconian, of
draconian,
course, 'cause
yeah.
he's got the voice and
Oh,
the manner.
perfect, yeah.
Yeah, he's got the pose and everything. Doesn't
Yeah.
he?
Oh, he's brilliant. Yeah. I don't know whether you've ever seen Miles without his draconian gear on, but
Well, I haven't, unfortunately.
yeah, his father is Ian Richardson, who was in. You know him from House of Cards and all sorts of things. He looked very like his father. You'd never think that he would, that was under that draconian, you know, exterior. It's quite funny. Yeah.
And of course, then you've done the audios.
Yes, the audios are wonderful. I really enjoy doing those. I love doing stuff. I mean, I love doing visual stuff as well, but I love doing stuff for radio and for tape. I've been doing a lot of talking books recently and a lot of voice work, and I think that you can conjure up so much, you know, on a tape, because and I think I like to think of people listening to them, you know, sort of with their eyes shut and imagining the scenery and imagining what's going on. But yeah, we have really good fun doing them, and the most recent one I've done is the one with Lisa Bauman and Sylvester, and that's, I don't know when that's coming out. You probably know more.
I think it's the next one coming out.
Yes, I think it is.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, because we're doing the signing
Doing
of
the
Tenth Planet. That's it.
So it will be, yeah.
And that's really exciting because it's a very clever idea. It's by Paul Cornell, who's, you know, I mean, he created Bernice. Let's face it. So I mean, he's sort of pretty. The only thing was about it that I did feel, because there are two companions, and it's the first time I've ever had to share the companionship with the Doctor, which was quite funny. You know, I felt quite sort of like, who is this woman? You know, it's quite strange. But because of that, unfortunately, I slightly felt that it had gone back to Ace being a bit of a kind of stereotype. I mean, there are some great bits in it for Ace, but she's much more sort of new adventures Ace, which personally I don't find as interesting to act as say the original Ace. But having said that, it was great fun to do, and as usual there were a great core of actors, really good actors, and it was good fun. We were recording at a new different studios, and Adam, my baby, came along too.
Oh, really?
He didn't get a part in that one, but I'm sure.
One for the future.
Yes, I'm sure.
And of course, the beauty, of course, of doing audio, of course, not be funny. You don't have to have the makeup.
Oh,
You don't
well,
have
that's
to learn
really
the lines
cool.
as such, really.
Yes, you can just turn up and read, and I really love sight reading as well. We were talking about reading earlier, weren't we? I'm very lucky. I've always been very good at being able to just pick something up and do it straight away, sort of as a performance, which is, you know, it's a gift to me that I've been given, because not everyone can do that, and I realise that it's a nice thing to be able to do. So I love it. I find it very challenging just to be given a piece of text and to bring it to life. You know, I love doing that.
It's easy to read, but the expression and the accent, isn't it? That's the secret to it.
That's right, yeah. And I love doing it.
Yeah, good. I was going to move on a bit away from that. Obviously, you've got your own new companion nowadays. Is he with us today?
Well, he is. He's in the car somewhere. He's driving around Leicester. He's got a bit of a cough. So and also it's very funny. He's just started knowing how to sleep. So he doesn't usually wake up till about 9:30 in the morning. Would you believe? I mean, it's incredible.
Very lucky.
Look, she's
You're
looking
very
lucky. I'm sure. I keep thinking this isn't going to last. But I mean, yeah, he gets up for a quick slurp at about 5, and then I put him back to sleep again, and he gets up about 9:30. He lies in like his dad. So this morning, when I went in and woke him up, and it was about 8 o'clock, and he was absolutely dead to the world. And he goes to sleep. I have to give him an old T-shirt of mine, you know, and he's like this. And I was going, like this. And he went, like that. I thought, crikey, he's like a teenager. He's only 7 months old. It was so sweet. But yeah, he's great. He's fantastic.
What did you choose on Adam? Is it amazing or?
Well, Vince and I, ages ago, you know, like if you when you get together with somebody and you start talking about children, you sort of start to have names, don't you? I mean, and I said, oh, I've always really liked the name Madam. And Vince said, oh, I really like the name Adam as well. And that's so rare, isn't it, that you both agree on a name. My brother's 2 best friends he's ever had in his life have both been called Adam, and they're really nice guys, you know. And then I found out it means red earth, and it's a very sort of grounded, sort of solid name. And then when I was pregnant, I started thinking, oh, maybe he's not an Adam after all. And we found out he was a boy. So we thought, oh dear, maybe we're not right, you know, maybe this isn't right. And we thought maybe he was a Finn for a while. Finn, yeah. He nearly was a Finn, because Vince is Irish background, you know, his mum's Irish, and it's a Celtic Irish name. And then when he popped out, well, popped, it's hardly the word after 42 hours, anyway, he came out, it was unbelievable. I just cannot believe it. I'm still getting over it. I mean, it's just, I don't think you ever quite recover, do you? Well, you've had 3.
I've had 3, yeah.
I mean, it's just, I could not believe it. Nobody can tell you, can they? I mean, unbelievable.
Mine worked 42 hours.
I couldn't believe it. And the contractions were quite painful right from the beginning. I just didn't want to come out. Was quite happy. And I'm so stubborn. I'm one of these people. I'm quite into sort of health and natural things, and so I wanted to have a birth with no pain relief, and at home, and I was lucky enough to have an independent midwife who she popped over occasionally, said, oh, everything's fine, and I was thinking, it might be for you, yeah, sure. Yeah, the baby's quite happy. I was thinking, well, I'm glad somebody is. I mean, I was screaming my head off. I lost my voice completely after, and a new neighbour had moved in next door, and I sent notes around, or I got Vince to send notes around saying, I'm just going into labour, I apologise in advance about the noise. And I was so worried, this poor woman, you know, because her room was right next door. I thought, oh my God, but in the end you just forget everything, don't you? It doesn't matter, no, you don't care about anything. And anyway, a week later I found out that she'd actually bought the place, but she hadn't actually moved in, so whew, that was lucky. But it was just unbelievable. And also, I don't know whether you had this, but I didn't even want eye contact with Vince all the way through. I couldn't stand anyone anywhere near me at all. I just wanted to be on my own. I was just lying on this sofa, just like in absolute agony. Spent a lot of time in the bath. And then there was this awful moment where my midwife, the waters finally broke, and my midwife said, now, the only thing is, you can't push yet. When I mean, I'm sorry to be crude, but it's like when you've got terrible diarrhea. Imagine you've got the worst food poisoning in your entire life, and somebody's told you you're not allowed to go to the toilet. Yeah. You know, it really is appalling. So I was lying in the bath, and I was going, oh God! And she's going, yes, you can. It's all right. And she's pouring hot water over me, you know, and it was just unbelievable. It seemed to go on forever. Really forever. And then came the magical moment where I was allowed to push. And then I got onto our landing, and we've got some banisters like this, and I was holding on going like this. And sorry to be crude, but I might as well tell you. Vince was sitting on the stairs underneath, anyway. And I suddenly felt something a bit different, you know, and I said to Vince, can you see anything? And he said he looked up and he could see like his hair. Yeah. And the midwife said, oh, right. She said to me, do you want to stay on the landing? I said, no, not really. So we went into the room where I really wanted to, you know, to give birth, and I could hear them putting the plastic sheet out and everything. And I started getting a bit excited because I thought, oh, that must mean it's quite near, because I mean, by this time it was like, you know, 2 nights, 2 days. It seems to be going on forever.
It's a long time, isn't it?
It is a very long time to
really
be in that extent of pain. And also because I'd been so sick as well during the pregnancy, I hadn't been able to eat anything for like, you know, a few days. So I hadn't eaten for about 5 days by then as well. So that had really weakened me, I think. But then finally, you know, it all happened, and it's so amazing though, because because as soon as it happens, you know, it's just unbelievable. I can't believe how Vince burst into tears because he couldn't believe. Don't tell him I said that. Because he couldn't believe, you know, how much pain I'd been through, and you know, and there was the baby, and I picked the baby up, and I sat back on my haunches. I just said, isn't it amazing how when the baby's born they can see, you know, I was carry on this conversation as though nothing had happened, you know. Oh, it was fantastic. And then it was lovely being at home because the midwife by then had run a bath, and Adam and I got in the bath. But it was actually Vince who finally chose his name, because when he came out he had really dark hair. I mean, dark like yours was really dark. And Finn means fair, so we thought, oh well, it's not Finn then. And it took we thought Adam, and then for about 2 days we were deliberating, and I must say I found that the most nerve-wracking thing was choosing his name. You know, it was like a big responsibility to choose the right name.
You've got to think obviously when they're at school and all the taunting,
yeah, that's right,
and,
yeah,
you know,
and nicknames and things, yeah. And we thought, well, you know, we thought Adam, and then Vince said he went off into the room where he was born and sort of sat in the spot with him, and he went through a few names apparently, and he said that Adam definitely nodded when they came to Adam, and then he went for the others, and then we decided on John as the second name because Vince's dad's middle name is John, and Vince has got a name John, and Vince's best friend's called John, and my brother's called Jonathan. So we thought all round, and then we thought, well, when he's a teenager, Adam he can call himself AJ if he wants, you know, because then he can think it's really cool. So would you rather have had a girl, or are you quite happy to have a girl? Oh no, I was very happy to have. I mean, anything at that stage, you know. No, I think really, I mean, for me, to have a healthy baby was just, you know,
it's
really
paramount,
brilliant.
Isn't it? Yeah, it is.
Really fantastic.
So when are you having your second one then? After 42 hours labour.
Well, isn't it amazing how somebody told me afterwards that you have this hormone that you give out a few days later, which makes you forget the whole thing. And you do, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Because now I've completely forgot. Oh, really? Oh, well, there you go. No,
You didn't have enough dose of it then.
I've just I mean, I can talk about how painful it was, and I can talk about what a horrendous experience, and I can talk about how awful my pregnancy was. But I mean, I found myself a few weeks later looking at pregnant women going, "Oh, wasn't it nice when I was pregnant?" And I know it wasn't. You know, it was awful. But you know, Mother Nature wants you to have more children, and I mean, we will wait because I want to, you know, I want to sort of get Adam completely settled and sorted and get over the birth, you know. But no, we definitely would like to have more.
And obviously, would you like him to get into acting as well? Have you thought about that?
I don't care what he does as long as he's happy. I keep telling him that already, because I think that's so important, and I think that's, you know, the most important things that parents can give their children is security, love and happiness. And I think as long as he has fun and he's happy, and I mean, you know, I hopefully we can give him those things. And you know, because I think that you see parents who try to sort of almost live through their children, don't they? And we want him to be this, and we want him to, you know, we want him to be reading by the time he's 2 months old, you know, things like that. And you think, no, that's not important. That's trying to fulfil some need within me. And really, I should have sorted that out by now. So he can do whatever he likes.
Good.
As long as he's not a drug dealer, I prefer.
What have you got lined up for the future, Sophie? Anything work-wise?
Yeah, I've been working too much really. I'd like to cut it down.
It's always nice to hear that, because it's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean it
Envious
is.
Most people,
yeah, exactly. I mean I am very lucky that. Well, last year I made the decision that it would be sensible to try and do more voice work, because I thought that, well, that's something I can do with the baby and take him along, and I won't do anything where I can't take him along yet, because I like to, you know, have him around, and I'm still breastfeeding. You know, I want to keep that going as long as I can. So I've been doing a lot of voice work. I did. I had this contract called the Magic Key Adventures, which you might. Do you know Magic Key? With oh, that you will. It's on. It's a reading scheme. The Oxford Reading Tree, it's called, and it's in most state schools, and it's.
Is that Biff and Chip?
Yes, that's
yeah,
it.
She said
Yeah.
that she's reading the
That's
books.
it.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, it's coming on telly,
Oh.
and I do two voices. I do Biff and I do Wilf as well.
You know.
Yeah, so now you know. And so we've done those, and it was a long contract, and so I got more and more pregnant, and then I said, well, because they interviewed loads of people for it, and I said, well, you do realise that I'm pregnant, and then I'll have the baby, and the baby will only be little, and and they said, oh, that's all right, Finola, our office manager, she loves babies. She can sort of hold the baby while you go and do the bit in
That's
the
probably
sound
what you
booth.
job actually.
yeah, probably. Yeah. And anyway, so it was very good actually, because 2.5 weeks, I was saying earlier, I stumbled out the house with Vince, drove up to the studio, we took Adam in. Luckily, he just took to Finola immediately, he absolutely loved it. And I went and did my bits, which only took about an hour and a half or so, and then went back to bed again. and it carried on like that, and it was rather nice because he's actually got a credit on one of the programmes. My character Wilf at one point drinks some water from the fountain of youth and turns into a baby, and the baby starts crying, and right on cue, like a true professional that he is, Adam started crying because he needed a feed, and I said, right, don't ring Childline anyone, and they whipped the microphone right up. I dashed him into the sound booth, he did a bit of crying, and then I took him off for his feed, and they said afterwards, they said, oh, what's his fee?
What's his fee?
I said, don't be stupid. He was only about 6 weeks old.
What's his fee?
I said, don't be stupid,
Don't
as
tell
long as he
him,
gets a
don't tell
credit.
him.
Yeah. So he's having his own credit. Adam Henderson is going to appear on the programme. So that's nice. So there's that. And then I've also been doing a lot of tapes for English language courses, singing and stuff like that, which is really good fun because it's nice working with other actors again. And then, I did Zap as well. Do you know Zap? Yeah. Minnie the Mini Magician.
Look at the eyes of they all know that.
Yeah, I think it's just come on again actually.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yes, I did that when Adam was 3 months old. That nearly killed me because it's so physical. It's mime. I play this magician character who keeps getting everything wrong. But it's all very big and very over the top, and I wear massive padding as well, which is quite heavy and hot. And I was absolutely exhausted because whenever we had a break, I was breastfeeding Adam, and then we were in a hotel as well, so we were in the same bed, so like we didn't really sleep very much, and he was feeding every 2 hours as well at that stage. Oh, it was a nightmare. But anyway, I got through it.
You look back and laugh one day.
It's just I can't believe I did it now. It's amazing. I really can't. What else? Oh, I've done lots of talking books actually. I did one last week, which is a lovely book called Lizzie Zipmouth by, do you know Jacqueline Wilson, writer? Yeah, it's one of her books. That's lovely, really good book, all about this little girl who she has to go and live with a new stepdad, and she's quite frightened because she thinks it's quite good themes actually. She's frightened because she thinks he's going to get violent with her because her previous but it's all done from her point of view, very light-hearted, and then it's a really, really nice story. What else have I done? Lots of other books as well, I can't remember now. Oh, I did some nice Beatrix Potter, and that's lovely of course because now I don't know, it's given me an added dimension having a child of my own now. It's given me much more of a reason to do the children's work.
Different point of view as
I
well.
really do, yeah. It's very nice, and I keep thinking, well, Vince keeps thinking, oh great, when he's bigger we'll just be able to put the tape on and go out.
What I'd like to do is open up to the floor to ask anyone if they've got any questions they'd like to ask Sophie this time. Anyone got any questions? Well, let's stop doing questions you've been dying to ask, now's your chance.
You said you do a bit of singing. Have you ever thought of making an album or something? Or
No,
has it ever
not
crossed your
seriously.
mind?
I mean, I think maybe if I was, because you have to be young, don't you know, to do that. I mean, it'd be fun to do, but also I think my voice is probably best suited to children's singing, and I mean, because it's not a sort of pop voice, really. I mean, I was classically trained, don't you know? And because it's quite a light voice. But I mean, yeah, it would have been nice, I guess. But it's one of those things that, you know, yeah, I could have done that when in my early 20s, but the opportunity never arose. Nearly did. Have I ever told you about the? I went for this open audition in the back of the stage. It said, you know, singers wanted. So I went to this audition, queued up for hours at Pineapple Dance Studios with there were just hundreds of girls there. And nobody knew what it was for. You know, you do these sometimes. You go along and you find out afterwards what they were for. Anyway, went in, sang my song. They said, "Oh, can you come back in an hour?" So I did. And thinking, oh gosh, there'll be 200 people then. And there weren't. There were 5 people.
Wow.
And I thought, oh crikey, you know. So I went in and sang again. And by that time, we found out what it was for. And it was for the Eurovision Song Contest.
What was the song?
It was the girl who actually did it. I can't remember which year it was. It must have been early 80s. It was a Welsh girl. I can't remember what song it was. She was representing Britain, and she did. She looked about 10, and she did a sort of sweet little sickly song, you know. But just imagine.
Eurovision.
It's been Eurovision. Thank goodness I didn't, eh? I'm not sure I've done Doctor Who, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Much more street cred.
But Bonnie Langford done it quite well.
Yes, that's
She
true.
crossed the boundaries.
Yeah, she did, yeah. Mind you, she still gets so much stick for it, doesn't she?
Yeah, unfortunately. I think she's very unfortunate, actually. It's a bit of Bonnie bashing, as they call it. I think it's very unfortunate. Because she was let down with the stories. Unlike yourself, you had some lovely Doctor Who stories, I think.
Exactly. No, she was just...
she was a bit of the poor relation, I think. She got the poor stories.
Yeah, she did.
So. Any more questions, anyone? If you haven't got any questions, I've got a few.
Well, I'm tempted to ask for an example of the singing.
Oh, no, I've got
She's
cold.
very good.
Very
Yes.
good.
That's a weird
I've
excuse,
sang
I've got a
with her.
cold.
Yeah.
I've sang Heartbeat with you over Remembrance.
Oh, yes, that's right, yeah. No, it's good. I do enjoy it, I must say. But
Do you do sort of karaoke when you get the opportunity, that type of thing, or not?
yeah, sometimes. I mean, I haven't sort of. I can't remember the last time I went out, so I can't remember. But yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Sing while you do the
sometimes.
brushing up.
I do. I sing a lot to Adam actually, and I sing. It's amazing how suddenly, as soon as he was born, I started this repertoire of songs. Not necessarily the ones I know from Words and Pictures and Tiny Anchor and things like that, but it's things. Old guide camp songs.
Oh dear.
Where have they
dear.
come from?
We've been doing that on the way up.
Zungali gali gali zungali ga. And really bizarre. And then the funny thing was that we had a reunion for my old guide. I used to absolutely love the guides. I really loved it. I had a fantastic guide troupe. They were so great. Our guide captain was wonderful. She's about 5'0". She's now 80 something. She's amazing. She's still as fit as a fiddle. And she used to march us around the hall going, left, right, keep your line straight, look ahead, left. And we used to march along after her like this. And, all these... and it was really nice because I decided to go back to this reunion. I was so excited about it. Vince will tell you. And Adam was quite little. And it was at our old campsite, one of the campsites we used to go to, Cuddon in Kent, which is a real sort of hotbed of scouts and guides. And I thought, oh well, I'll be the only one who turns up from my lot, but never mind, it'll be worth going. I'll see Captain and all that. And turned up, and they were all there, all my old mates. It was fantastic. And one of whom, actually she wasn't, because she's now a very well-known opera singer. If you know anything about opera, she is a really fantastic opera singer. Alison Hagley she's called, and she was off, in America or something singing, so she wasn't there. But loads of the others were there, and it was so nice. And we all said to each other, isn't it funny, because it was perceived to be quite uncool to be a guide, so you never talked about it at school.
It still is.
You know, you never really talked about it, and yet we knew that it was actually the coolest thing because we went on camps on our own. You know, I mean, most of my practical skills nowadays, I think, come from guiding. You know, I mean, I could, if you give me a few sticks and pieces of string, I could make you a draining board. How's that? Isn't that amazing? Oh yeah, yes, stand up perfectly. I could make you a tripod. I could, you know, you learn these amazing things of how to make a fire, the first aid you learn, and you know, always like we were inspected every week. Did you have an inspection? And we had to make sure in our pockets we had to have something to write with and something to write on. 10p for the phone. It shows just in case you had to make an emergency phone call. A piece of string, I think. And we always had to make sure our badges were polished, front and back.
Did you have many of the bed?
Oh yeah, I had an arm. I love doing my badges, yeah. And the badge, it was so funny because it said, you know, if you've got any uniform you want to wear to this reunion, you can wear it. So I found my old Queen's Guide badge and my guide badge. And we got in the car and I got the brasso out and Vince was going, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just polishing the back of my badge because Captain might inspect me." And sure enough, we got there and she'd some of the old guides had they was camping overnight and it was an old ridge tent, you know, one of those tents, and they'd put it up and apparently Captain had turned up and said, "Yes, not bad, but your guy ropes are touching the fly sheet," you know. And they'd done all their brailing, all these terms I remembered. So the songs, we sat around the campfire and we sang all these songs, and they're so nice, some of them, really lovely songs. So they've all come back, Adam gets all of those.
But did you drink hot chocolate in the evening?
Well, we would have done, yeah, they had they had sausages and everything, it was great.
Anyone else got any questions?
I was going to say, I've got my guidebooks in the car.
Have you? Are you
I'm
a
a brown
guider?
now.
Oh, brilliant. I do think it's fantastic. In fact, there was an article my mum cut out of the paper the other day talking about guiding and saying how, you know, this thing about, unfortunately, it's not perceived as being cool to be a brownie or a guide. But now, who are the famous people who it's all people who you would look at and you'd go, "Oh yeah, I can see."
Yeah.
You know, they're all sort of very independent people, all very sort of, you know, practical type people.
They're back going ice skating a couple of weeks' time, so.
Fantastic. Lucky you. We never went ice skating, wow. It's not fair.
No, it's true though, what you say is quite right. It's got this perception, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, people.
Yeah.
Mind you, what they're doing at the moment, they've had this big campaign that started last month to recruit new people into it. But the things they've sent out to recruit people, if you showed it, I showed it to Louise, she said, "I'm not passing that on to my friend." What it said was it was sort of so sexist. It was so
really?
She said, "I'm not passing that on to anybody."
Yeah, that's trouble.
But and that doesn't help when you've got the
No,
actual
it's the marketing.
headquarters are sending it out, and you think. And we've
Well,
got to
also
try
the
and-
uniforms now, I think aren't, you know.
The guide one has
they're-
changed
yeah.
yet again, and
I
she could
know.
just wear it round down the street and no one would know.
Yeah, it's a real
It's
shame. Because I was quite proud of my uniform, really.
I
When all
was.
said and done.
I don't like their
No,
uniform.
I don't anymore. I saw some Swedish scouts and guides up in London a few weeks ago, and I thought, now that's what I call uniform. They had, you know, woggles, and they had nice cotton shirts and, you know, trousers and shorts and stuff, and the hats, and they look really cool now because it's, you know, it doesn't look old-fashioned somehow. You know, big baggy shorts and stuff. It looks really good.
Well, I was in trouble. I never got it to a scout. I don't know.
Oh, Adam's going to be a cub. He's going to be a beaver as soon as he. Absolutely.
I've got one in each. I've got a rainbow, a brownie, and a blue.
Good for you.
And they love it.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Because you don't get the social clubs you used to get. When I was brought up in the city, we used to get loads of social clubs and used to meet up and pay so much a week and you play table tennis or snooker and they used to go for it. But you just don't get it now.
Yeah, I was in the church choir and the
just don't get it.
guides. That's another thing. It's. I was just thinking, guiding is sort of similar, tarred with the same brush as Christianity. You know, it's got that sort of
It is,
really naff
unfortunately. Yeah, it does.
marketing campaign, hasn't
That's
it?
what people view it as. You're religious. They sort of go hand in glove, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's not the case, of course, but that's how people view it. Anyone got any more questions for Sophie?
What sort of music do you like at the moment?
At the moment, this little guiding light of mine, to shine. Do you know that
You
one?
should know that one. We had that at Thinking Day.
Thinking Day, I'd forgotten the name. Oh, Thinking Day. What, isn't that great, Thinking Day? Anyway, what sort of music do I listen to? I try and play Adam classical music. I must say I enjoy classical music at the moment, probably more than pop. I think because the beat is too sort of insistent for me at the moment for some reason.
It's the rhythm and blues thing seems to be swamping everywhere, doesn't it? Though?
Yeah. Although, having said that, I mean, I really liked K.D. Lang's single she had this summer. I had to review it for a radio programme, and it was really nice. Summer Fling, it's called. What else have I been listening to? Vince listens to, his favourite is Sting. He's Sting mad. What do I listen to? I listen to a lot of sort of old standards actually, like you know, the stuff Harry Connick Jr. plays and things like that. So we've got this brilliant CD, The Glory of Gershwin, which is different artists singing Gershwin numbers, which is really great. Listen to that. Oh, I bought the new Brian Ferry album, which is it's As Time Goes By, and it's Brian Ferry crooning along to all the old.
The old 20s and 30s.
Yeah, that's it. I really love Brian Ferry as well. I've always loved Roxy
You've
Music.
got nice voice,
Ferry, yeah.
lovely singing voice.
Really unusual, I think.
Mm.
What else? I'll just hear something occasionally I really like. Like Vince tends to get sort of compilations of things, and I'll go, "Oh, that's nice," or soundtrack, and I'll go, "Oh, that's nice. Who's that?" And he goes, "No idea," and we look it up, you know. And I say, "Oh, let's get the album," and he says, "Yeah, but probably the rest of it will be rubbish," you know, because that's happens so often, doesn't it? But yeah, so that's the sort of thing. I listen to a lot of Radio 4. That's my main thing I listen to, and so yeah, I tend to. I don't like it. It's funny. I don't like a lot of noise in the house. I don't know. I mean, it's not what that's like. Yeah, but it's funny. I think it's quite a quiet environment in our house in a way. It's all going to change soon.
Yeah, it will change.
But I think it's quite good because Adam seems to be quite a calm baby as well. I don't know whether that has an effect on him. But we tend not to, you know, have that. Whereas if I go around to my brother and sister-in-law's house, they live round the corner from us, and they've got 2 children. It's like, I mean, I went round last night. It was like, boom! It hit me like this. And they've got the telly on. They've got the, you know. My brother said, "Let's put some music on," and it's like, oh, wow! And Adam's going, and my niece is going, Sophie, can you play this for me? Can you come and do this? Can you? And Louis, who's just walking, you know, he's going around going, you know, go, and passing me things. You have to go, thank you, go. He's passing Adam his bottle, and I'm going, Adam doesn't know what a bottle is, Louis, sorry.
It's still a go.
Yeah, go! Everything was a go. So it was like, oh dear, unbelievable.
That's good. Anyone got any more questions for Sophie?
You find it hard to go from an adult program to a children's one? What's that?
That's a good question. No, I've never found that difficult, actually. I don't know why. I seem to be able to kind of switch between the two. And now it's even more easy, you know, really. I think it's like that thing when, you know, you can be having a conversation with a baby like that, and then you'll sort of turn around and talk to an adult and go, yeah, well, and we seem to, as human beings, we seem to have that ability. So I think it's sort of the same thing, really. Not that I talk like that on children's programs.
Anyone else? If not, I've got some questions, which I lovingly call Questions of Truth from the Time Lord's tin.
Ah, very good.
So if you'd like to pick one,
Certainly. A large bunny just through the shots. Don't think that was very successful. Right. Oh, your favourite food or what you enjoy cooking though is that's a pertinent question, isn't it? this is a bore, but I don't know if you remember last time, I've got this thing, Candida, which is, it's not very nice, and it kind of flares up occasionally, and it flared up in another embarrassment. Close your ears, boys, if you're too embarrassed. Flared up in my breast for my breastfeeding, and it was absolute agony for a while. So I've had to go back onto the old Candida diet, which is cutting out sugar and yeast. But also I realise I've got a bit of an intolerance to wheat as well, so I don't eat wheat. Although every now and again I do sort of, you know. But my favourite food at the moment, I mean, I eat a lot of rice cakes and hummus, which sounds very sad, doesn't it? But I love that sort of food, rice, meat. I read a really interesting book recently, which is all about eating to your blood type. And it's saying that, you know, depending on what blood type you are, you really should eat certain types of food and kind of shy away from others, and you can sort of balance your diet much better, and it's better for your digestion and everything. So I'm an O blood type, and which is the oldest type, which is a sort of hunter type. So meat suits me very well, which is funny because I've always really enjoyed meat, and when I've given up meat and I've gone on to, you know, grains and pulses, I've always felt like bloated or, you know, sort of not quite right. So meat is obviously good for me. Meat and veg. And I've never had a sweet tooth. As a kid, again, I loved meat, and I think actually kids probably, you know, when they're little, they tend to know what's good for them. It's interesting now, I'm starting to give Adam solids, what he likes and what he doesn't.
What you like.
You know, yeah. And it's like, I tried to give him some apple this morning, and it's his face is so sweet. He's very good at eating, and he wolfed it down, and then he went, oh. Yes, slightly sour, so sweet. But I'm not even eating fruit sugar at the moment, which is a pain because I love fruits as well. What do I enjoy cooking the most? I enjoy cooking Adam's food, actually. It's a bit of a novelty at the moment, it'll probably wear off. But I really enjoy sort of like, you know, steaming some carrots and mashing it all up, and then
crushed
you know,
rusks.
all the sort of funny thing that he had. And baby rice, that's what he's big on baby rice at the moment.
Apparently Andy still eats rusks.
Oh, marvellous.
Oh,
I've got
you
one
know.
of them. My kids never got the rusks.
It's funny, isn't it?
Great with a glass of milk.
Oh. Well, I quite like baby food. I remember my mum for my 21st birthday, she bought me a few jars of baby food. Well, she bought me another present as well. She's not that stingy. But I did, because I did like the baby food in the jar. Yeah. So I do enjoy cooking. Funny, we eat very strangely in our house because I eat that, and Vince has got a very, very sweet tooth. So his favourite is sweets and ice cream.
Really?
He's got a real sort of junk food. But although he does eat healthy food as well, but by rights he should be about, you know, 500 stone and, you know, as big as a house. But yeah, well,
He will be.
I don't know. His family, I think it's in the genes as well. So he loves pasta as well, whereas I find it sort of, you know, fills me out.
Rice, it is very,
So he and I, we both eat at different times, and then I'm giving Adam, so it's very strange. But I enjoy baking as well. I enjoy making cakes and things where he'll laugh because I made him this cake. I think it was while I was pregnant, I suddenly got this sort of real urge to start baking and stuff. You know, I think it was this Earth Mother type, and then I felt sick, so I couldn't do it anymore. Yeah. But I made this cake and I put it out in the kitchen, and you know, it was like Vince was, oh hooray, she started baking. I was making scones and all sorts. And then I walked into the kitchen in the evening, and I just left the cake out to air, and there was a little mouse sitting eating the cake.
Oh no!
So that was
Must
the last
good.
time I made a cake.
Must
Yeah,
be
exactly.
nice.
It like had a little bib on it, tucking in. And anyway, so I stopped making cakes because I was feeling so ill. And then the other day I thought to myself, oh, it was raining really hard outside. I thought, gosh, I really feel like making a cake. So I made this exact same cake, and I put it out, and I put a cloth over it because I thought, oh well, just in case, you know. I mean, we got rid of our mice and everything, and Vince was really looking forward to this cake. And a bit later he came in and he said, I hate to tell you, he said, but I've seen some mouse droppings. I said, no, you're not serious. And sure enough,
Really? You
he'd
put them
seen
back?
some. This cake had obviously can't get enough of honey spice cake. Yeah. It's absolutely weird.
Put some paracetamol in it. They won't come
It's a
back
good
again.
idea.
Yeah.
Poison peanut butter. That's what does the trick nowadays. Because did you know that mice now, they're so clever that they won't go for grain or anything like that, poison grain, or and they have to keep changing. All the pest men have to keep changing what they give the mice. So at the moment it's peanut butter. They go for junk food, like, and if that doesn't work, then they come back and put a few crisps down and things like that. And then they have to change the pots as well every few months because they get wise to seeing, you know, the colour. It's amazing, isn't it? Clever things, these mice. Anyway, there you go.
Outwitted by mice. That's what I
Yeah,
find.
it's sad, isn't it? Yes, when the world goes to pot, what would it be? Cockroaches? or-
Cockroaches.
yeah,
About there,
yeah, that's right.
Pick another one.
Right. Oh, have you won any trophies, medals for achievements? When I
Apart
was
from the
little,
guides.
I won the Help the Police competition.
Help the police competition.
Honestly, me on the church choir guide, Help the Police. What a crawler,
You
eh?
see the halo from here.
No. It was a local thing, I can't even remember what it was, but all I remember was we had to go to Lewisham Town Hall to collect. I've still got the shield somewhere that we had to get. But no, I haven't won many things.
Sports,
in my
is it?
life. I suppose, no, although I did a lot of sports. I mean, I had my colours at school for lacrosse and tennis and things, but yeah, I was lacrosse captain for a couple of years at school. What else? I won a prize when I learnt to ride a motorbike from Greenwich Council because I went to do the Greenwich Council safety course down there, and I won second prize there. It was the second best student.
Second?
Yes, the first one. The guy who won first prize was a policeman, and
Oh,
he knew his
Yeah.
he knew his highway code better than I did. I thought to myself, oh, I know my highway code, and of course I didn't.
Not as well as you thought.
No, exactly. I felt a bit like that bit on Big Brother, you know.
Have you been watching that?
Well, funnily enough,
Funny enough.
I haven't really been into telly at all. I haven't really had time to sit down and watch it, but I was slagging off Big Brother and saying, oh, terrible voyeuristic television, you know, I think it's disgraceful.
Exactly what I did.
Yeah,
Yes.
really awful, really awful. And then I watched it, and I really enjoyed it. It was terrible. I mean, I didn't get hooked. I made myself not get hooked. And then it was so ironic because on the last day, Vince said, "Guess what? It's the Big Brother finals." So I thought, right, I'm going to spend this evening. You know, we've got Adam, so he'll go to bed at like 8:30. Put him to bed. I'll sit down. I really enjoy it. I'll have it. The first thing I'd planned to watch in 7 months. So I sat down. I had my little blanket on me, and I was really enjoying myself. Adam was fast asleep. And there was a massive thunderstorm, and Cable and Wireless got hit. And I'll tell you, suddenly went on the blink.
Oh no.
Unbelievable! I could not believe it. I rang my mum and I said, "Guess what?" She said, "Oh, don't worry, I'll ring you up when."
It's
She
over.
only lives like round the corner as well, but she's not on Cable and Wireless. Anyway, Vince, thank goodness, found we had another a portable telly downstairs, and we managed to rig it up to our old external aerial, and it worked. Thank goodness. So I saw. But somebody was obviously conspiring it because I thought, well, I'll save the voting as well. I'll save it up because I wanted to vote for Anna, and I kept ringing and it was just constantly engaged. So I thought, well, somebody doesn't really want me to watch this or to vote, you know. But I thought it was fantastic, wasn't it, when Craig
I'm
came
surprised
out
you
and
said
said
it.
he was giving all his money away.
Well, I knew anyway, he said it before anyway.
Did he say it
said
before? Oh, he did say it.
Yeah, he
I
mentioned it
couldn't
only once.
understand that because they kept saying that he promised not to mention that
Yeah.
in case it swayed the voting.
He mentioned
But I
it
knew
once.
about it.
Yeah, he did. He
before-
mentioned it
Oh,
once.
think it's
really?
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't know about that. Sorry.
Well, no, when I watched it
My feet are cold.
in the early day when it first started, and I think it was when Nick was on it, and then I said this programme is all about everything bad about people because I was watching him with all his conspiring. I thought it was terrible, and then once he'd gone, I couldn't. I was watching it every week.
Yeah, it's funny,
So
isn't it? how it gets to
voyeuristic,
that.
you know.
Yeah.
But what really annoys me, I was so much going to put money on Craig and I never did.
Oh.
I am so.
Well, they
because
shut down
Yeah,
the
shut down
cookies, didn't
beforehand.
they?
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to put money on
We've
it.
got a friend, Ben, who was. Did you see the inside story of it? They had that the next day.
Oh, the
And,
making, was it the making?
Yeah, the making of it. Yeah, and really good friend of ours, Ben. He worked with Vince on a program. He was one of the main producers on it. He was the voice of Big Brother. You know, he's the one who was in. And he was really. We're going to see him week after next. He's a bit busy at the moment because he's doing. What's he doing? I think he's doing Naked Chef Christmas special. But anyway, we're going to see him next week because I want to pick his brains about what he really thought. You know, whether he was just being diplomatic for the cameras and whether he didn't have any money on there. But he in the office sweepstake he got Anna. So
it's funny.
I thought she'd have got it.
yeah.
I thought
I thought she would.
I voted for her.
Yeah, she was fantastic, wasn't she?
It's funny because I couldn't see it. I didn't see
Oh,
it.
really?
I didn't see it. I couldn't really see it. Honestly, couldn't see what people could see. I couldn't really grasp it.
It was funny because when I was up in Edinburgh, we've got a friend who lives in Holland, and he said, "Oh no," he said, "I've just been through this all in Holland." He said, "Oh, come over here, I've got to go through it all again." And but I sort of missed the nasty Nick bit, and then got into it.
That was the best bit.
Yeah.
It must have been amazing.
When they caught him out.
That was the turning point for Craig, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's what turned
Really?
Craig round. Yeah.
It must have been
That was the
amazing.
turning point. That's what made him miss the popular.
He felt uncomfortable for him though, didn't he? Because he just kept trying to lie his way out of it.
Well, I'm actually amazed they were so calm.
Mm.
Because if someone had done that I was in a circle of friends, it would have been...
I thought they were really
Just
mature
a
about
finger
it. I
waggy.
was surprised.
Yeah.
I don't
You know,
think it's because the cameras were there.
Yeah.
My mum said though, which is an interesting point. She said, but she thought that it was just sort of standard business practice, really, what he was doing. You know, she's the places she's worked, people do that all the time to each other. And I said, yeah, but don't forget that these people are meant to be friends, not it's not a business thing.
And it was against the
it
rules,
is really,
wasn't it?
yeah.
It's 70,000
It is really, because it's 70,000 quid, you know.
It's a competition.
I couldn't believe how he thought he'd get away with it when the cameras were there all the
Yeah,
time.
he had a technical plan.
Isn't it funny the way that he found the places where they couldn't see him as well? Very clever.
I still think it might be highlighted. When you see your friend, ask him was he an insider?
I will do.
Yeah.
If people keep asking back, because they're
Yeah,
asking.
because it was too many coincidences.
I really don't think he was though, but I will ask. Yeah.
Did you see the one where he was claiming to be in the TAs?
Oh, that was hilarious.
He had to do the obstacle course.
Oh, I
It
saw
was
that
so
on the
funny.
highlights.
It
And
was-
the
was
people
useless.
inside the
He
house
could
are
do
saying,
the bars, could he?
oh, yeah.
It was absolutely useless.
Funny, isn't it? Anyway,
One
enough
more
of Big
question.
Brother.
One more.
This will be fascinating in the future, won't it? 10 years down the line, nobody will know what the hell we're talking about.
Big Brother will be back next year, and the year after, and the year
That's
after.
true.
Last one.
Right.
Then we give you
Oh, favourite writer, author. Gosh, that's difficult, isn't it? It's like, because it varies, I think. At the moment, I mean, I must say that what I've read recently has not been very much, obviously, but I read the latest Harry Potter, and I stayed up till 2 in the morning finishing it off, and it was so scary. Oh, it was awful. It was like Stephen King. I couldn't believe it. I had to
I've never actually read
go
it.
to bed
Never
with
know
lights
why
on.
you don't like it.
No, excellent.
It is
They
scary.
don't actually like it.
No, I can
Reading
imagine.
it in school, she says, I don't like it.
No, it is scary. It really is.
No, I know.
But I think I really enjoyed it. It's a real page turner. What else have I read recently? Oh, I've just finished the new Bridget Jones. Actually, I'm into kind of light reading at the moment for obvious reasons. The new Bridget Jones diary, which is the latest one, which was very funny. But I think my favourite author, well, the one who springs to mind is Jane Austen. Actually, I've always loved Jane Austen. I did Emma for A-level at school, and I just think she's so witty and so clever, and the plots are great. I mean, well, in fact, the Bridget Jones books, the structure of them is based on her books.
Have you never thought of actually writing anything yourself?
I think Ace was my big, the book was, that was the sort of. I can never think of the initial idea. I'm very good at. It's like with television programs. People say to me, "Oh, why don't you think up your own program?" I'm very good at sorting out once somebody's had the idea. Vince is really good at ideas, and I'm good at, initiating them. Yeah. I mean, I'm good at then carrying them on. No, he's good at initiating them. but I'm not too good at coming up with the ideas myself. Although I used to write a lot when I was young. You know, I used to write a lot of stories and things, but they were always kind of based on things I'd read, like Alice in Wonderland or The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. And like those, yeah. They're great, aren't they? I had a phase last summer where I just I was feeling so ill and pregnant that I just read all my old children's books. Oh, it was fantastic. I read some wonderful books. I think children's literature is just so fantastic. And I also read a lot of, I suppose they might be termed self-help books, but they're not particularly. I'm very interested in sort of...
awareness books.
Yeah, that's right. I'm interested in kind of spiritual life from all dimensions, really. What was the last one I read? Oh, if anyone's heard of Dan Millman, I like his books. The Peaceful Warrior books. And there's some very good books called Conversations with God, which bring up lots of interesting points. Although, I wouldn't say I'm a Buddhist or a Christian or a this or a that. I sort of like to... I think people far more nowadays are more pick and mix in their religion, in many ways, although, there's obviously still a real place for every religion. But certainly from my point of view, I tend to kind of take a broader view of
look at the wider picture. So.
Yeah.
Good. Anyone got any last questions?
Yeah, I have. I thought I heard that you have written things.
Well, I wrote Ace, and I wrote the stuff, things in Doctor Who magazine, but that's about it really. I think so, unless I've forgotten something. My baby brain. You do, don't you? I just
squinting.
You go upstairs and you think, why am I upstairs? And you, mind you, I was doing that before I had a baby. Or I'll ring someone up. My sister-in-law did it to me the other day. I had a message on the answer phone from her. She said, "Hi, I just wanted to ring you about..." Oh, I've forgotten what it was now. Oh dear. She said, "I've got a catalogue in front of me, so maybe it was something to do with that." I can't remember. I'm going to have to ring you back. I thought, yeah, I identify with that completely.
You can sympathise.
Yeah.
Well, if everyone's finished, no more questions, I'd just like to thank Sophie Aldred.
Thank you. So what's your favourite book then? Enid Blyton. I used to love Enid Blyton. Oh, that's something I read. Because I've got all those, the Castle of Adventure and the Valley of Adventure and the What's It of Adventure, and I read some of those again last summer. All very non-PC.
I like Douglas Adams actually.
Oh, Douglas Adams, yes, I've
very,
not.
Very talented writer. He's been, the Americans have bought him now, haven't they?
Yes,
he's in a big think tank.
Yeah.
It's a shame. I think he's
It's a shame he never did another Doctor Who episode.
Well, I like the
That'd
Hitchhiker's
been
Guide
great.
he's done as well, following that.
That's very
The Titanic
amazing.
thing he's done as well, so very talented, I think. 'Cause he's an
Excellent.
ideas person.
Yeah.
I know, developing ideas. Very
Yeah.
clever. Very clever writer. Like him a lot.
Absolutely. And what books do you like? You like him
Yeah.
as well. Yes, I used to love The Secret Seven and The Famous Five. They were great.
Winnie the Pooh.
She did, but
Yeah.
she's
And
gone
Neil.
up in a bit now.
Yeah, big for Winnie the Pooh now, aren't you?
It's more popular than Mickey Mouse now. He poses more money for
Good.
Disney
Yeah,
than
yeah.
Mickey Mouse does.
Good.
Yeah.
That's great. Good to hear. I've already bought some. In fact, I've been invited to a thing at the library next week for teaching a baby or getting a baby to read with you. But the thing is, Adam's only just got to the stage where he has got some books, but at the moment he just tends to shove them in his mouth. So
Yeah.
there's no point in sitting
Plastic
reading.
books, I know ones.
Yeah.
Plastic
Yeah.
One of those boring books. It's just started actually. Last night he was sitting on my knee and I was showing him like this, and with pictures of animals, and he thinks it's hilarious. I go meow, and he looks up at me.
Have you got any pets?
No, we haven't. Unfortunately I'm allergic to animals. I'm very allergic to cats, unfortunately, which is a real shame. Huh?
That would have helped your most problem.
Yes, exactly. Well, I think that's probably one reason why we got them, because everyone else around the area's got cats, and we haven't. So I think the mice.
Alright, we go to this place.
Yeah, the mice suddenly go, yeah,
Freshly baked
party, there's a cake and no cat. And I'm even allergic to dogs, which is a real shame, because I love, I really like animals, and I'll see if I can get myself over here.
You can't help it. There's some things I'm allergic. You know, like
horses.
horses. And
Yeah, horses is bad.
Yeah.
Awful with horses.
Your eyes come up.
Yeah,
Really
awful.
lucky eyes, terrible.
Yes, it's funny, isn't it? When I went riding, a couple of years ago now, and I'd forgotten really, and I was sort of patting the horse and then just going like this, and I went to and somebody said, "Your face is swelled up," and I was like, and I suddenly realised, and itching all over. Terrible. Such a shame. Yeah, I really hope Adam's not going to be allergic to animals. But Vince isn't, so. Have you got animals? What have you got?
A few.
7 cats. A dog.
How many cats?
7 now.
7 cats!
Amazing. Wow.
Well, 2 of them sort of live next door though,
Yeah,
so we don't really see them. They live next door.
Cool,
7
lucky
cats.
you.
Just had another kitten, haven't they?
And what do you read?
One of them's called Ace, isn't it?
Are you in a reading phase? What sort of things do you like? Horsey book. Yeah, I used to like horses as well. I never, because being brought up in London, you never really had a chance to see horses. But used to pretend that.
Shrieks Dr. Who.
Oh, good for you. Yeah. There you are, you see. Hello, Target for the reader. I think, they must have helped so many people, I think, those Target books.
It's good. It's basic.
Yeah.
If you're interested,
Food
it helps.
Yeah, that's right. Well, ideas as well.
Yeah, ideas.
Yeah, they said
And the
that
fantasy.
it has helped her
A long
English
time ago,
tremendously, because they said the ideas she now gets because of reading those
Yeah.
books. She said,
Sparks.
we did have a phase, she said, everything I read of Louise's is Doctor Who based.
Oh, dear.
But we're getting away from that a bit now. But,
Homework one week was to watch the aesthetics, so
Oh, that
doing
was-
it in humanities.
so that was
And
humanities.
the humanities teacher told her to go and watch the aesthetics for homework.
Excellent.
But he knows how to trick her. He says, I know you like Doctor Who, and his children actually
that's
like
good.
Doctor Who as
I
well.
never used to go home
That's
very like that.
good.
Go and watch the
But he said it's the one.
Oh,
But he said it's the
right.
one way she knows that she'll sort of,
That way.
she gets
Teacher.
threatened.
At least it's tapping into an interest, isn't it?
It is.
But
That's what he said. She
good,
knows.
actually.
All our
And
teachers
also
know to
there's
get her
information
interested.
there,
If they say
isn't
Doctor Who, the ears prick up and that's it. They've got her attention.
But did you notice
As
it
if
was
she can
third
hear
in
him
the
now.
100 best programmes?
Yeah,
Isn't it
third.
fantastic?
Yeah.
12
It's
years
so
off the screen,
brilliant.
really. It's
Still
third
done
still.
It's amazing, because it was first, wasn't it, a few years ago in
Yes.
some readers' poll, but that was different, wasn't it? Because
Yeah.
this was the Brie FI, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just filmed
Yeah.
it.
I know, it's fantastic. It's really, why they don't do it again, it's so silly.
I think it's because it's BBC.
Oh, that's something else I didn't tell you about, the pilot, the radio pilot.
Oh, yeah.
Do you
You
know
hadn't
about
mentioned
this?
that,
No,
no.
I haven't mentioned it. Of course, the big news, biggest Doctor Who news for a long time, I haven't mentioned it. Well, last summer, this friend Dan Friedman and I, we were chatting in Edinburgh, and he was saying, why doesn't anyone do Doctor Who anymore? Because he loved it, but he's not a fan, he's never really got into the fan side of things. And I told him the story, and he said, well, why doesn't anyone do it on radio? And I said, well, it has been done on radio, but not very successfully. But he said,
Why they did it, radio.
Yeah.
yeah.
And the time they put it on.
Yeah.
sort of
Well,
thing.
exactly.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
he said, I could get it on, because he, as well as doing a lot of comedy for Radio 4, he also produces stuff as well. So I said, well, you can have a go.
Yeah.
Anyway, next day he came to me and he said, oh, I was just chatting to the commissioning editor at the party, and he said, yeah, fine.
Just shows
So
you.
I thought,
It just shows you, doesn't it?
And
It just shows
and,
you.
he is a cheeky little
Yeah.
what's
But he
it,
got away with
Dan
it, though.
is. But anyway, so then the work started, and he said, okay, right, can I interest you and Sylvester into it? I said, certainly, you certainly can. So we went to see Sylvester and I introduced them, and they get on really well, which is nice. So then the ball started rolling, and he finally took it to James Boyle, you know, who was the outgoing head of Radio 4. And James Boyle finally, I mean, Dan nearly blew it on a couple of occasions because he kept going online and saying, you know, this is going to... And James Boyle kept emailing him and saying, Dan Friedman, you are not allowed to talk to the Doctor Who fans about this, you know. If I'm going to commission it, then stop. Anyway, so he did. And he went to see him. And Dan was getting, by this time, had got completely passionate about it and had got Stephen Fry involved and, had, you know, amazing, unbelievable, because of his cheek, basically. Oh yeah, he'd gone up to all sorts of people at this big convention I'd taken him to and said, do you want to be in Doctor Who? Oh, all sorts of, Star Trek people, that's right,
really?
You know. And they said, yeah, sure, you know.
Yeah,
and
they would do it as well.
Anyway, so finally he went to James Boyle, sat in his office, and James said, well, all right then, here you are, you can have £15,000, which apparently is a lot for a radio
Yeah, it is.
well, it's not, you know, not even, no promise of transmission. So anyway, we've recorded, well, he's very excited about it. I spoke to him yesterday, he's going to play it to me. I think he's finished it now.
Any
He's just
snippets, what's in it
editing
there?
It's the whole idea that this writer, he's got this writer on board, Colin Meek, and he's had this great idea for it's a big story arc, you know, idea. And it's quite sort of mega. It's to do with like the Time Lords and the kind of whole idea of who the Doctor is, and you know, it's kind of carrying on from where that sort of hands of Omega and stuff, you know, where we were
getting to that point.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You just stopped getting there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's nice because it's quite a serious story. It's getting back to the old, you know, kind of darker type of idea. And he wanted a really bad idea. And I wonder if I'm allowed to tell you that the baddie is being played by John Sessions. That's probably classified information.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But you
Trust
know,
us, we
isn't
won't
it
go
great
through the
though?
next
I mean,
convention.
yeah. John Sessions, Stephen Fry, you know, all these people. You see, what we wanted
But we've
to
got
do
passion for it, that's the thing.
yeah,
We've got
we wanted
passion.
to try and get as many big names on
Yeah.
board, because what we've got to do, unfortunately, is persuade this commissioning editor, who I was at university with her, for goodness sake, and I know her quite well, but she doesn't like science fiction, and she's got
That's
a
the
thing
problem,
against
isn't
it. And you just think, oh, if only it'll get transmitted, then
They'll say how popular it actually is.
well, yeah, then what we'll have to try and do, all of us really, is to try and get, you know, because all the fans will listen, no problem, that'd be great. But to try and get the general public to listen and to say, yeah, this is great, this is what we want, that would be the key thing.
It's a slotting of it, when they slot it.
Well, yeah,
It's
and
very
the
big
time
one.
slot, yeah, exactly. I mean, it would be ideal if it was family time, wouldn't it? You know?
But they weren't, they'll slot it dead opposite Coronation Street or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what they do. That's the sort of thing they do though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, Sunday family time. I mean, the good thing is that Helen Bowden, who's the new controller of Radio 4, is very into the idea of children's radio. But I mean, you know, Doctor Who, I don't perceive it as children's, but
Would it bring in
it should
everybody?
be.
Which is actually what she's after.
So I mean, that would be fantastic if it could be, say, Sunday early evening.
Saturday tea time.
Saturday tea time, yeah.
That's been more solid.
Although most Radio 4 listeners probably, I don't know, it might be Radio 4, it might be another station.
Usually listen to
And you've
Radio
actually
4
completed that now, that's what
But
your part's
I think
finished.
Dan's my part's finished. I think Dan's finished recording now. I think
And
he's
it's just
just
yourself and
editing.
Sylvester, or is there others we know of? Who you sort of...
Who else is there? No, I don't think there's anybody else from Old Who.
That's one of them might visit some of the old companions or something.
There will be, you know, in the future.
As
But
it goes
this is
on.
just this is only like a 25-minute or even 20-minute
Good.
recording. But I mean, Dan's very, very pleased with it and very excited by it. So, and the good thing is that because he doesn't really know anything about the back history of Doctor Who, although obviously the writer does, he's got on board a script editor called Nev Fountain, who did, I don't know if you've heard this programme called Dead Ringers on Radio 4, where
Oh,
they
it's
had-
excellent,
Yeah.
isn't it?
yeah, they did the Tom Baker,
Occasionally.
that's it, the phone calls.
Excellent.
Well, Nev wrote a lot of those sketches. He did all the Alan Bennett ones, and
Oh, yeah,
and
brilliant.
he's also a fan. And funnily enough, I met Nev a few years ago now when he was doing a Doctor Who show at the Canal Cafe Theatre and asked me to go along, and I went along. It was a sketch show. Anyway, he ends up doing this Dead Ringers, and John Colshaw, who does the Tom Baker voice, Nev kind of thought to himself, John's using quite a few too many Doctor Who references here. He's talking about things that surely somebody who didn't know about Doctor
really
Who.
know.
So Nev kind of did the old like Doctor Who handshake, you know, and said, John, are you a bit of a fan? Oh yeah, I love Doctor Who, it's fantastic, you know. So that's great, because John's also involved in this radio pilot, doing several voices. And anyway, John and Nev got together, and John and Nev and Dan came to Panopticon actually and appeared. You know, they did a sort of secret panel which nobody was meant to know about really. But it's great because it's getting a new lot of people interested.
That's the secret to it.
in
That's
Doctor
great
Who.
to get the youngsters. It's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the next generation.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you know, John and Nev, because of the success of Dead Ringers, with any luck, they'll wield a bit of power, you know. So. And it's great that Nev's script editing, because he can say to Dan, "Oh, I don't think that works because, you know, that's not really Doctor Who," you know. So that's good.
I always find it quite sad though. You know, it's really done more sort of luck than judgment, really. Though. It's who you know someone else.
Oh yeah.
It's quite sad, really.
It's a real shame. Yeah.
And I think it's the BBC who actually, you know, responsible marketing company rather than take it license payers' money.
It's crazy.
They won't survive that, I think.
Yeah,
It's
they do.
incredible, isn't it? The appetite that there is for all the, you know, the big Finnish stuff and everything.
I know, they're
People
highly
are crying
successful.
out for it. So it was successful when it finished. It was selling it abroad and everything. It wasn't costing that much to make.
No, not real
It's
terms.
crazy.
It's so mad.
So what they do, regurgitate and give us out videos and new covers on and little bits on, you know, DVD. And,
Yeah. Oh, that's something else I did recently, is the DVD Remembrance of the Daleks. Yeah, Sylvester and I went into a studio at the BBC with Paul Moses and Steve Roberts, who were doing all the restoration stuff, and we watched the show and we added our comments. You know, we talked about, oh, do you remember when? You know,
so
so
additional
they'll do-
materials
yeah.
going to go with the DVD. Oh right, that's it.
I think they did it with Caroline John and Nick
Yeah.
Courtney as well, but they did the same with us. And it's quite fun, and then there's some outtakes as well that we'd never seen before,
Oh, right.
actually. There's one of me, I'd completely forgotten about this, when I hit the Dalek, you know, with the baseball
Yeah, with the
bat. Well, there's me getting ready to hit it, and they say, you know, action, and then I start whacking 7 bells out of this Dalek, and they're going, stop, stop, stop! You're hitting the wrong Dalek! and you can hear the guy inside going, ow, ow, ow! And apparently we were meant to stop, and I was meant to, then they would put the stunt Dalek in. I was meant to
with all
do
the
that
dents
one.
and stuff.
And they said, and they said, oh, was it because you were new to television and you know, you didn't understand? And I said, no, it was because nobody told me.
I was having so much fun.
You know, nobody told me that was what they were going to do. But it is funny because I can see that it's before I got wise to knowing about the cameras and knowing what's. It's quite funny, really. But yeah, there's some little outtakes. There's also the extended version of the. I don't know whether this was on the video. The really long version of the scene in the cafe with the, you know, the conversation about sugar and, you know, cane cutter. And, but I think there's an even longer version which is on the, I'm not sure, maybe that's, but they have added a few extra
bits.
So who's got DVD?
Yeah.
I think it's obviously a thing which is
It's
very
great
good for
to
collectors.
I mean, if you've got any interest in films or whatever, the quality is
the
so
quality.
And
good.
the
Is it?
quality is
Yeah,
absolutely
it really is good.
And surround sound as well. Sort of thing.
Is it like watching a movie then?
Yeah.
Like cinema?
Yeah, but it's just crystal clear, isn't it? You know,
It's different between.
I always thought videos were quite, you know, if you buy a pre-recorded video, I think that's quite good.
Yeah.
But when you actually look at one next to a DVD, it's incredible.
You won't think the quality.
I remember putting, before I bought it on DVD, I watched, you know, the second Aliens?
Yeah.
I watched that and on video, and it was just so grainy on a big screen telly. It was unbelievable. And yet I remember when I watched it when I bought it, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And it's the sound as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
So I don't think they do like surround sound.
Yeah.
Oh,
Surround sound.
wow.
You get it each speaker and stuff. They do it all.
Gosh,
So you can actually very sort of very theatre. Like you've got a big, you can actually sit with it.
fantastic. Oh, with the speakers behind.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
really good.
Gosh.
You had a helicopter sort of come through before you
Oh.
sit under the you know.
Oh, like in those big cinemas in
Yeah.
the West End.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. Good stuff.
It's
Fantastic.
made for science fiction,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It is.
You know, the
Yeah.
effects and
Yeah,
such
it's
like.
made for science fiction.
Great.
Shame they don't, Doctor Who really could do update me really. I mean, if it had the budgets that Star Trek had and stuff,
Yeah. Or even, I mean, I think it would still work with the old budget. I mean, I don't see there was anything wrong
No.
with it at all.
Well,
I mean,
Doctor Who
people
essentially
talk about-
a basic drama.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
it was the drama of
Yeah.
what it was about.
It was good
wasn't
writing,
about-
wasn't it?
If it was well written, a good Doctor Who story is a good Doctor Who story. Without, you don't
Yeah.
need to be spending millions on
No,
it.
I
If it's a
absolutely
good
agree.
story.
But the
I
trouble
think,
is,
you know, the
people's
secret of
expectation,
any
though.
film and any drama is in the script
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the plot
Yeah.
and the
The
characterisation.
characters, so the characters
It's
playing
never
was
to
always
do with
vital.
budget.
No, not at all.
You know, I mean, look at the Full Monty, or look
Yeah.
at you know, the sort of low budget successes
Yeah.
that we've had recently. You know, British films.
Yeah, Four weddings, things like that. It's because
Yeah.
the characters you
Yeah.
Exactly.
you get a closer
You
affinity
get
with the characters.
hooked,
You
and
do,
you
yeah.
know.
There you go. Yeah, it's good.
It's BBC again though. I mean, maybe it's just an excuse, but they're obviously not listening to the people who want to see it because
No, it's an excuse.
no one's saying they want Star Wars effects or whatever.
It's a very personal thing. It's unfortunately it always comes down to one person. You know,
It does.
in the end, it's like this radio pilot. You know,
Yeah.
It is at the end of the day.
and if
We're
she's not
at the
going to
same bit of
commission
science.
it, then that's if she doesn't like science fiction, which just seems absolutely crazy to me.
Ludicrous really, her job is to commission things for people to
Yeah.
listen to, so she
Yeah.
should be banging out
Yeah.
what the audience
But you
wants,
should
not
think
what
in
she...
a way that the way it's BBC's funded, you ought to be able to have more of a say, really.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
Which we've had
Wouldn't it be fun if they put it to the vote, like, you know, and you could have like a list of 10 or say 20 programmes that you'd like to hear or
Yeah.
watch, and you know they could say maybe to do it through the Radio Times, and they could have a vote. What a good idea, actually. I might suggest it.
Yeah.
And they could have you know, like a postal vote or a phone-in vote. Well, like Big Brother. You know,
Yeah.
wouldn't that be
Who are
good?
you going to evict this
Or
week?
you could have like you could show pilots. That would be a good idea, wouldn't it? You could show like 5
Yeah.
pilots because it wouldn't cost much to make, and you could phone in and vote for your favourite pilot, and that would get a series. What a good idea.
And you could have Jane McDonald to front it.
Oh.
I'll tell you what, I really loved Davina McCall. I thought she handled Big Brother so well. I think
I
mean, knowing-
knowing Street Mate.
yeah, she's a
Yeah,
fantastic
yeah.
in Street Mate, but knowing how difficult it is to do
Live
live,
TV, big crowds.
she handled that so well. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of hers, I must say.
Definitely done a career good,
Yeah.
I thought. Raised her profile.
Oh yeah, she'll be very hot now. Yeah. No, I was thinking in the rain on that finals. I was thinking, glad I'm not doing that. And she plainly couldn't hear a thing the gallery was saying to her. And then she lost her talk back at one point. That's very popular.
She wasn't exactly dressed for the rank though,
No,
was
she wasn't, was she? Bless her.
What I did find bizarre was the scene where she was going through the rubbish bin.
Oh, I didn't see that.
She was going through the rubbish bin,
Yeah.
and it didn't amount to anything at all,
No.
the scene. She didn't find anything of
No.
interest. And then she walked off in the rain, and she was going, oh, the rain.
It sounded like that it sounds like the production team thought it would be a really good idea for her to go through the rubbish bin, but
Yeah.
nobody exactly told her why.
Yeah.
They could at least
Yeah.
plant this like worthwhile in there.
Yeah.
Put a plant that's like worthwhile in there.
Yeah.
I know she was looking for condoms, wasn't she? That's what she was looking for.
Oh, yeah.
That's what she
yeah.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, she, any evidence? Any last minute?
That's it.
That's what she was after.
Yes, because it was like that when she got into the house, wasn't it, as well? And you know, they weren't quite sure what they were doing. I don't think, you know, 'cause
No.
they wanted, and the timings obviously were completely out.
Yeah.
It had taken a lot longer to do things than they expected,
Yeah.
and they knew they had to get Nick on to do the final thing, didn't they? So they were kind of really
I
rushed.
thought it was a bit off actually getting stuff to say. I thought it was a bit.
Yeah, I think they should have kind of let him out of it because it meant that they had to sort of kiss and make up. Whereas,
He had to, didn't he? He was
Well,
like,
just wanted
he's
to
like,
chin him,
think
really.
there you go.
yeah,
Hi, good, how you doing?
Yeah.
I'm not your lights out
I
lately.
think some of the others would have probably chinned him in,
Yeah.
but I think Craig was sort of,
He won't have
couldn't
your
care less at that point.
because you really wanted to actually dwell a bit on what Craig was, you know, the girl and Craig and what he was going to do with the money.
Yeah,
But they obviously hadn't allowed time for that.
yeah.
Where there's,
And that
I
was
mean,
just tremendous television, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that's
That was-
fantastic
That's
television.
fantastic.
And they obviously hadn't got time to do
Yeah.
it, which was a real shame. They should have done that and then
Yeah,
not on
someone
Nick
should
Head.
have taken that opportunity, shouldn't
Yeah.
they, and expanded on it.
Yeah, here we are talking about Big
You
Brother.
can't help it, can you? You can't help it, can you?
Embarrassing.
So who's going to phone the hotline now that it's not on?
Yeah. So,
Dinner is being dished up.
oh goody.
Very much.
I'm starving.
You had time for breakfast this morning before you left?
I had a bit of plain yoghurt as we dashed out the door, and then we had to give Adam his banana and veggie rice on the route.
Was that big that memory? Is that banana
This
baby
time,
yours?
yeah, he'll be back soon for more.
It's funny, yeah.
Fabulous. I thought he was going to like apple, and I don't think he has. So I hope Vince has managed to find some. Actually, bought another banana, but I don't want him just to grow up eating nothing but bananas. They're so sweet, though. He really likes them.
Did you try any singing or playing music to him before he was born?
Yeah, well, funnily enough.
Does it work?
Yeah, it's really, he does recognise, definitely. I sang him Golden Slumbers
Yeah.
when I used to lie in the bath, and he definitely recognised that. And the Archers theme tune as well, he definitely recognises. But, and there was
Funny enough,
certain
mine was
music.
Home and Away when I was having that one. It was the Home and Away.
Isn't it
music,
funny?
yeah.
They do know, don't they?
And
I mean,
when
there's no
drops are
reason.
falling on my head. I don't know why. We must have been watching
really?
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid at some stage, I reckon.
Oh, isn't that nice? But they
Apparently
do
it doesn't
definitely
even have to be a relaxing tune, does it?
No.
As long as they recognise the
Yeah,
Oh,
actual
yeah.
it is
noise and
weird.
rhythm.
It is weird.
And they do get like, you know, if,
You
they get
get another,
agitated
yeah.
if there's like an insistent drum beat.
Yeah.
Mm.
And apparently even within the classical music as well, Mozart makes them relax, Vivaldi makes them jump about, I think Beethoven makes them jump about a bit as well. It's amazing.
I wonder what the 1812 does.
Yeah, exactly.
Never played that one while I was.
Yes, it is funny. You
So
can
it's-
definitely see, can't you? what
I
they're
expected in January and Suki's tried to persuade me to sing. She said,
Oh,
"You don't
yeah.
recognise
What
it."
day?
Well, he
January.
definitely recognises Vince's voice, or recognised very early on, because Vince used to sort of get down by my tummy and whisper things and sort of talk to him.
Yeah.
And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "It's private. It's a private conversation."
Because what date in January?
The 8th.
Oh, how wonderful! How's the pregnancy going?
Sounds like it's very much like you for the first. We thought it was going to last. She's settled now, but we thought it was going to last all the way through. She was really ill with
So
vomiting and
horrid.
nausea. She was losing weight and all sorts.
Yeah.
But it seems to have. She had to have Stemetil in the end,
Did she?
and that seemed to sort of settle it. And
Yeah.
she stopped taking that now. And it's settled.
You alright, Keith? Your second one will be alright.
Sorry.
Second one will be alright.
Oh. Well, exactly what you were saying there, because when she was pregnant, she was going, "Oh, I don't want a baby," she was saying, and now she's going, "I think we should really have another one, you know, we should think about it."
Isn't it
She's already
amazing?
thinking about having another one.
It's funny. Yeah, the old hormones, you see.
Mm.
It was
Oh,
a
well,
reverse with
it's
me,
a
wasn't
reverse,
it?
yeah.
I was like,
Stock up on your rice and pasta then before the labour. That's what I can say. Shovel it down her, because that will give her energy, won't it? That's what I get at labour.
At the end.
Because as I say, I know I was sick as well when, you know, during the labour. So
I never had that.
good. That's brilliant.
Well, I had about 1 month with that one.
It's so good. And how are your labours?
That was fair. I had it suffered most, I think. But I remember I was having, it was Rachel, wasn't it? And I had to be induced, and I was sitting there. My dad came up to visit me. And I'm sitting there, and I don't know how he comes. I had the TENS machine, that had stopped working. I was sitting there, and my dad's talking away, and I'm thinking, go and pick my brother up from cricket. Just go and pick my brother up from cricket. And as soon as my dad was gone, the midwife was there with the chair, and I was out of there. And it was about half hour after my dad left that I had her. And I think when he said, if your dad had been there, she said, you would have been on the gas there and everything, because of course,
Yeah.
by the time as soon as I got to that
Your
labour
mum had
room,
been
that was
there,
it.
I guess.
But that was just because I didn't want to show my dad that I was in pain, and I just
Oh,
didn't.
wow.
And his head was
Wow.
white, but I think by the time my dad actually went, and it was the nurse. She was standing at the door, and she could sort of see. That was it. Within half hour, my dad says, "God, I missed it by half hour." I thought, yeah, you wouldn't have if you'd been there.
I wouldn't have been able to.
But no,
stuff
around
it.
6 hours with all of them, so I can
That's good.
sympathise that.
Well, I'm
Bad
hoping
enough.
next
42.
time will
God.
be okay. Yeah, it was just unbelievable.
Actually,
I
she
can't
was the
believe it.
quickest.
It
They
went
say
on
it
and
gets
on.
quicker after you had them on, but she was.
Oh, was she? But it was just that I know nothing was happening. Do you know, I think if I'd been in hospital or if I'd been in NHS, I think they probably would have, given me a cesarean, because I think I'm so glad, it was a real lucky thing that I didn't, because my midwife was just going, no, it's alright, textbook labour.
You're very lucky
taking
actually
a long
first one
time.
being at home as well. They're normally like you to go in on first.
Well, it's funny actually, because when I they wouldn't have minded.
Well,
but
they're
no,
normally
our
like
health
because not too
authority
sure.
seems to be quite.
Mm.
Lewisham is quite good.
So they're starting
didn't
to
mind at all.
change now, aren't they?
Yeah.
A lot of them are.
When
They
they're changing
really
it,
are.
isn't it?
Yeah,
No
because when
idea.
I had her and they said, no, well, I've sort of had it at home.
Yeah.
But I did have them all in hospital anyway.
And a week after in hospital and all that type of thing,
No, they don't want that
No,
anymore.
you can go out after about 6 hours
Yeah.
now.
Don't
I have my full 3 days though.
You have a couple
Yeah.
of days even if you're under the season, aren't you?
Yeah.
Kept you for a week, didn't they? 5 days.
And a friend of mine who had her cesarean, unfortunately, it was Lewisham Hospital where I would have been. They just hadn't got enough staff, and they had a really tough time. So she had to do all the stuff herself. She was having to lift things, and she was having to, and the midwives kept popping in and saying, "We're sorry, we just can't come and help you." It was just awful.
That's what types of cereals for some reason. It's not,
No.
It's just a phase, isn't it? It's just a phase.
Yeah. It's a shame because, like, my midwives were saying, that a lot of cesareans could have been prevented by just the midwife knowing the baby. Because by the time my baby came along, they knew me so well, and they knew exactly where the baby was lying because they'd been with me every week.
It just seemed to like epidural, down, boom, gone, didn't they? So it seemed
Well,
like-
it's
that's what it seemed to like,
quick
doesn't
and
it?
easy.
It makes it easier for
That
them,
is
I think.
changing now.
Yeah, I think it's
I
easier for them,
haven't
I suppose.
had any
They
cereals or
designed it for
anything like
themselves
that.
and their timetable,
Yeah, it is
That's what they
beginning
do
to
for.
change, thank goodness. Like breastfeeding.
But I think
as
because
well,
a lot of people are putting their foot down saying, no, this is
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
want,
true.
rather than saying,
Yeah.
going along with what the nurses
yeah,
say. A lot of
yeah.
people are saying, no, I don't want that, this is what I want.
You're probably right, so that's probably what it is.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Mm.
Because I think, it is the most horrendous pain, but you forget, don't you? And it's only
You
Well,
had,
for me,
I'd forgotten
3
within
days
a
in
couple
my
of
life.
days
Sophie,
of
I didn't
how
feel the
much
same.
that's what Vince says, funnily enough. Yeah,
No, he can still remember his crushed hand.
How was the
It
lady?
didn't hurt one
Because
little
it was
bit.
fine.
It didn't hurt one little bit.
There
This
was
is only on,
There was one awful point where poor Vince, who hadn't been able to get near me
Fingers like that.
3 days, fingers like that. He was sitting in the bathroom and he was going, he was saying to my wife, "Is there anything I can do? Is there anything I can do?" She said, "Yes, there is," and he went, "Oh, fantastic,
Put the kettle
Wait,
on.
I've got a job." She said, "You can make some toast."
Put the kettle on, yeah.
And it was to get him out of the way,
Get
really.
out of the way, yeah.
And she just sat with me in the bathroom on the floor. And then I remember they came back, and Vince said he'd never made such a beautiful piece of toast. And he said, put the butter on perfectly. And they sat there, sitting eating toast on the bathroom floor.
Actually, it's funny, when I was in hospital having Adam, he had to put all
Oh, I forgot. Have you got an Adam?
You've got an Adam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I didn't know.
And then he had to put the green, didn't you? The green face thing
Oh,
on.
nice.
And the
Yeah,
green
like
shoes,
shoes,
the
mask,
green, oh.
yeah.
And I can't
Did you have
remember the
cesarean
side,
then?
really was.
No,
No.
no.
I was going to say, because you only usually have that for cesarean,
Yeah, I know.
don't you?
That's funny.
It's ridiculous.
They think,
I
the doctors have just taken over birth as a medical procedure, and it's
It
just
was
not.
a few years ago, wasn't it? So yeah, it's changed.
Yeah.
It's much
So
better.
there was a certain difference between, and it's
Yeah.
only what,
Was there?
4
Yeah,
that's
years,
good.
and there's
Yeah.
a big difference between these two.
What they do
really.
there.
Yeah.
I think technology
I was a
moves
lot
on.
more relaxed when I
Yeah,
went in to
yeah.
have Rachel. I don't know if it was my dad was sitting there, but
That's good.
Oh, I wear the green gown, the mask, what the hell.
Yeah,
I did, honestly,
oh yeah,
over
I
the
can
shoes,
imagine you in there.
everything, over
Yes.
the shoes, everything.
yeah, it was quite comical.
It was, yeah, it was.
I remember
'Cause
my,
the-
when my
the
brother
princess-
was born, my dad had that because my mum had cesarean, and I remember seeing my dad in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our midwife just said it's ridiculous the fuss that's made about cleanliness
Yeah.
now. It's much better for children to,
Yeah.
you know, because otherwise they don't build their immune
That's
system.
No.
right.
So I mean, you know, I mean, we gave Adam a bath. Well, so he had a bath straight away, and then we keep forgetting to give him a bath. It's like
But you don't really
we
need
wash him a bit, you know,
Yeah.
occasionally, and it's like
They don't need
No,
bathing
not
every
really.
day.
Day.
Bathing every day is not good.
No,
It's not good for you, honestly.
he's a bit of a once a week man now.
which is no problem, is
No
it?
problem, really, no.
No. But like, you know, it was even, you know, things like being on the floor, you give it a quick wipe, and
Yeah.
because I remember when my niece was born, and yeah, she was so sort of like all the antibacterial stuff, you know.
A
all
friend,
over
a
the-
friend
Trouble
of
is-
mine, when she brought her little baby home from the clinic, she was so worried about germs, she bathed it in TCP. The poor baby's covered in TCP.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know
Oh,
what harm she
dear
would have
me.
done putting it,
Yeah.
putting the poor
Yeah,
little baby in
much
TCP.
more harm.
Yeah.
All those awful chemicals.
Oh, you've got all the bugs a bit.
Are you ready? Couple of minutes. Oh, goody. I think I'll just go to the loo in that case.
Wiping the
I can
cat's
open the
feet
door.
with the
Oh,
stupid.
yeah, I mean, because it's like, it said no immune.
Flash it, there must be near the end, is it? Battery flash?
Oh.
I don't know,